You know the sound I'm talking about, right? You're in the zone, a mix is finally starting to come together, and then, bam, there it is, that sharp, grating sound that just drills right into your ears. It's not just annoying, it's actually painful.
Yup, that sound has a name. It's sibilance. And trust me, it's one of the biggest things that can make a great vocal tract sound, well, amateur. So today we're going to put on our surgical gloves, we're going to scrub in, and we're going to learn exactly how to remove it without leaving a single scar. So yeah, welcome. We are doing a deep dive into taming sibilance. We're going to cover the whole shebang, from stopping it before it even happens, all the way to the super precise fixes you can use when it's already baked into the track.
Okay, so first things first. Before we can start operating, we need a proper diagnosis, right? So what exactly is this sonic problem we're trying to solve?
At its most basic, sibilance is really just the sound of those S and sh noises. It's created by a focused blast of air shooting through a singer's front teeth. Now, the problem is when that jet of air slams directly into the microphone's diaphragm, creating this nasty, exaggerated spike in the high frequencies.
So where do we find this thing? Well, think of it like hunting. We can actually track it to its home turf. And while it might move around a little depending on the voice, you're almost always going to find it hiding out somewhere between 4 and 10 kilohertz. That's the danger zone. That's where all that piercing, edgy, brittle stuff lives.
And here's why it's so awful to listen to. This isn't just some random spot on the EQ. No way. This is the exact range where our ears are naturally the most sensitive. It's literally hardwired into our DNA, to help our ancestors hear a twig snap in the woods. But in a mix, any extra energy here feels super amplified and becomes physically painful. It's why your ears get so tired so fast. All right, so before we even think about firing up the computer and grabbing our plugins, let's talk about the best medicine of all, prevention. I mean, if you can stop the problem at the source before it even gets recorded, you've already won half the battle. Okay, these are your go-to moves, your first line of defense. Just changing the angle of the microphone so the singer isn't aimed directly at it. That alone can be a game changer. You could also try hanging the mic upside down, just a bit above them. You still get the core vocal tone, but you miss that direct blast of air. And hey, sometimes the mic itself is the issue. A super bright condenser might just be the wrong tool for the job. Try something smoother, like a dynamic or a ribbon mic. And here's a wild one for anyone recording at home. If a little gap in your front teeth is causing a whistle, a tiny bit of dental wax can actually fix it.
But what if you can't swap mics? Or you don't want to get all complicated with the positioning? Is there a simpler way? Oh yeah, there's a classic, almost legendary studio trick that costs basically nothing.
It's the pencil trick. And yeah, it looks a little homemade, but I promise you, it's brilliant. You literally just take a pencil, stand it up vertically right in front of the mic capsule, and hold it there with a couple of rubber bands. That pencil acts like a tiny shield, splitting that focused blast of air so it doesn't hit the mic dead on. It sounds way too simple to work, but it is shockingly effective.
Okay, but let's say prevention wasn't in the cards. You've got the recording, and that harsh sibilance is already baked right in. Now, it's time to operate. And our first tool, our scalpel, is going to be a good old surgical EQ.
And let's be really clear about why this is so important. These harsh frequencies aren't just a minor annoyance you can ignore. They are, quite literally, the wall standing between a track that sounds amateur and one that sounds pro. This is the stuff that gives people listener fatigue and just cheapens the whole vibe.
So how do we perform the incision? We use a technique called search and destroy. It's really simple. Step 1. You take your EQ and create a really narrow, really boosted peak. Think of it like a sonic magnifying glass. Step 2. You slowly sweep that peak across the high frequencies while you listen. And step 3. You're listening for the exact spot where that S sound becomes unbearably awful. It'll probably jump out as a nasty whistle. Once you've found it, that's the enemy. And for the final step, you just flip that boost into a cut. Boom! You've just surgically removed the problem without touching anything else.
And as you're hunting for these, it helps to know there are really two kinds of problem frequencies. You've got the truly painful ones, the ice pick frequencies, up in that 2 to 5K range. They literally cause that physical pressure in your ear. But then you also have the just plain annoying ones a little lower down. That's the honk or the boxiness that robs a mix of all its clarity. The good news? That search and destroy method works like a charm on both.
Now that surgical EQ trick is powerful, but it's got one drawback. It's static. It's always on. So what happens when the sibilance is inconsistent and it only jumps out on a few words? Well, for that job, we need a smarter, more dynamic tool. We need a De-Esser.
So what is a de-esser?
Honestly, the best way to think of it is like a highly specialized automated assistant. It's basically a compressor, but it only listens to one specific frequency range, our sibilance zone. You set a threshold, and it just waits. As soon as an S sound in that range gets too loud and crosses your line, the de-esser jumps in, turns it down for just that split second, and then gets right back out of the way.
So when is this the right tool to reach for? It's perfect for when a permanent EQ cut would just suck the life out of the vocal. It's your absolute go-to when the sibilance is all over the place. It's also a lifesaver for taming the harshness of stacked background vocals. And here's a big one. Use it to tame those S's before they hit your reverb or delay. It'll stop your effects from turning into a splashy, sibilant mess.
Okay, so we've covered prevention, we've covered surgical EQ, and we've got our automated de-esser. But what about those really, really stubborn cases? Or what if you're a perfectionist and you need absolute transparent control? For that, it's time to call in the specialist.
So here's the trade-off. A de-esser is awesome because it's fast. You can kind of set it and forget it. But the downside is that it's an algorithm. Sometimes it gets things wrong. Maybe it clamps down on a cymbal hit or a high note by accident and just sounds weird. Manual editing, on the other hand, is the most precise method possible because you are the de-esser. The only con? It definitely takes more time.
And I'll tell you what, if you ask a lot of top-tier engineers, this is their secret weapon. It's their favorite option. When you need ultimate, transparent control, nothing beats getting your hands dirty and manually dealing with each and every problem yourself.
And the process itself isn't even that complicated. You just zoom way in on the audio waveform, and you can literally see the S sound. It looks like a dense little scribble. All you do is slice it so it becomes its own little audio clip, and then you just turn the volume down on that one clip. That's it. You've precisely targeted only the sibilance and left everything else untouched. It's perfect.
So there you have it, the full surgeon's toolkit. You've got preventative care, surgical EQ, automated de-essing, and manual precision editing. You are now officially equipped to tackle any sibilance issue that gets thrown at you. The only question left is, what does your track need? Listen closely, diagnose the problem, and choose your tool wisely. You got this.